Hello, welcome back. Now we're going to think about the learning in the second part of the worksheet for this lesson. Here are some get ready questions to prepare for that. Give them a go. Let's check our answers. Which of these fractions are less than 1/2 and which are more? 4/6 is more than 1/2 because 3/6 is exactly 1/2 and we've got slightly more than 3/6. We have 4/6, so it must be more than 1/2. 14/29 is less than 1/2. Why? Well, 14/28 would be exactly 1/2 because 14 is exactly half of 28. So 14/29 must be slightly less than 1/2 because when we've got the same numerator, 14, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. 29 is slightly greater than 28, so 14/29 is slightly smaller than 1/2. 8/4 is going to be more than 1/2 because 8/4 is an improper fraction, so that in fact is more than 1, so definitely more than 1/2. And 50/99, that is more than 1/2. If we think about 50/100, 50/100 is exactly 1/2, and again we've got our same numerator now, so 50/99 has the same numerator as 50/100, but the denominator is smaller, and when the numerator is the same, the smaller the denominator, the greater the fraction. So 50/99 is slightly more than 1/2. Number 2. We need to make that number sentence correct, so 11/12 is greater than 11 and then something in the denominator. We could put 13 there, but of course you could have any integer there that's greater than 12. And number 3. Well, here we're going to use a common denominator to compare. And if we find an equivalent fraction to 10/4 in 8, so 28, we can see there we can compare 11/8 to 28. Well, 11/8 is clearly smaller than 28, so it's less than 10/4. Today's lesson builds on our understanding of comparing fractions to now ordering fractions. And sometimes we're going to use the numerator, and sometimes we're going to use the denominator. Here we can see we have the same numerator in all 4 fractions. When the numerators are the same, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. Therefore, to put these fractions in ascending order, which means from smallest to greatest, we need to start with the smallest fraction, which will be 5/29 because that has the greatest denominator. Then 5/21, 5/11, and the greatest fraction here, the largest fraction, is 5/6. Here we're going to use the common denominator. There's our common denominator rule. When the denominators are the same, the greater the numerator, the greater the fraction. However, at the moment the denominators are not the same. But hopefully we can see that the denominators are related to each other, because in fact they're all multiples of 4. We're going to use that to write all of the fractions in 16ths. 11/16 can stay as it is. So 5/8, we need to double numerator and denominator to create the equivalent fraction, 10/16. 3/4, we need to multiply top and bottom here by 4, 12/16. And 2/8, again we need to double like we did with 5/8, 4/16. Now we have 4 fractions with the same denominator, so we can do the comparison. And we can see that the first fraction is going to be 2/8. So in our answer box we don't put the equivalent fractions we've converted, we put the fractions in the question. That was 4/16. Then we're going to have 5/8, which is 10/16, then 11/16, and then 3/4, which was 12/16. Have a think about using the common denominator to compare and order those 4 fractions. Here we're going to use the common denominator of tenths. So 1/2 is going to be 5/10, 8/10, and 4/10. And then we can do our ordering. That's the correct order for those fractions. Here we have 4 more fractions to put in ascending order. Have a think about whether we're going to use the common numerator or common denominator rule to help us do that. You may have seen that for 3 of the fractions we can use a common numerator of 14, and it's those 3 fractions. We're going to use this rule. We'll think about 3/3 in a moment. So we're going to use a common numerator of 14. 14 33rds already has 14. For 2 fifths, that's going to be 14 35ths. We've got to multiply top and bottom by 7. And for 7 ninths, we're going to double numerator and denominator, so 14 18ths. Therefore, we have 3 fractions now with the common numerator. But what about 3/3? Well, here, 3/3, the numerator and the denominator are equal. They're both 3. That means that that fraction is equal to 1 whole. We can see that the other 3 fractions are all proper fractions. They all have a numerator smaller than the denominator. That means that the other 3 fractions are all less than 1, whereas 3/3 is 1, which means 3/3 is the largest fraction, the greatest fraction. We can put that in place as the one furthest to the right. And then we can use our numerator rule to put the other 3 fractions in place. 2 fifths, then 14 33rds, and 7 ninths. Have a think about using the common numerator rule to order those fractions. Here we're going to use the common numerator of 6. We've already got 6/13ths as a numerator of 6. We're going to then use equivalent fractions for the other 3. So 1/7 will become 6/42. We've got to multiply top and bottom by 6. For 3/8, that will double numerator and denominator, 6/16, and 2 ninths will be 6/27. And now we can use our rule, because we've got a common numerator. So the smallest fraction is going to be 1/7. Then we've got 6/27, so 2 ninths. Then 3/8, and lastly the greatest fraction, 6/13. How are we going to tackle this problem? What is the missing denominator? And we've got 16/23 is greater than 2 over a mystery denominator, which is greater than 8/13. Looking at the denominators, it's hard to see a relationship between 23 and 13. But between 16, 2 and 8, we can see we can easily convert 2 of the fractions, so the numerator is 16. Let's do that. We can have doubling 8/13, double top and bottom is going to be 16/26. And then the fraction in the middle, well, we're going to multiply 2 by 8 to make 16. And whatever we write in that box is going to be divided by 8 to put it in the actual answer at the end. And then we have 16/23. Now we can use our numerator rule. And we can see that the denominator in 16ths, when we have 16 as the numerator, the denominator would have to be 24 or 25, which makes sense when the numerator is 16, because we need to have a fraction that's smaller than 16/23, but greater than 16/26. It looks like we can put 24 or 25 in there. But what would happen if you put 25 in? Because remember, that's not the answer. The answer needs to go underneath the numerator of 2. And to get from a numerator of 16 to a numerator of 2, we have to divide by 8. Dividing 25 by 8 is going to give us not a whole number. And of course, the denominator of a fraction has to be a whole number. It has to be an integer. Therefore, it must be 24, because 16 divided by 8 is 2 for the numerator, 24 divided by 8 is 3, and therefore the overall answer is the 3 in the denominator, 2/3 for the fraction. It's now your turn to finish the worksheet. Have a go at questions 5 to 7.